Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Drop a Stitch podcast.
I'm your host, Natalie.
And I'm your other host, Denny.
And today we're going to talk about knit nights.
Yes, we're going to be covering everything from what they are to
where they're held, who can participate.
Yes, everything about knit nights. But let's start with, how are you?
I'm good. I'm better now.
Yeah.
I missed last week's podcast because I was sick.
Yeah.
I caught one of the great influenza virus going around.
Oh, man.
And it was painful, but we're good now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back. How are you?
I'm good. Very tired. I had markets this weekend, and it was a lot, but it was beautiful. I love
You had 3 days in a row.
3 days.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. But it was good. It was good, and I'm happy. I love attending to markets, so it was fun, and I met new people, and
It's always fun.
yeah,
It's like the best parts of market is people's reaction and
interacting with
people.
the people.
Yeah.
It was also your birthday.
It was also my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
But yeah, we missed last week, but we're back.
Yes, and hopefully we won't miss any more weeks.
No, we won't. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We should be good.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, we'll do our best. But before we get into today's episode, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who listened to the first episode and all the feedback we got. Super nice and positive comments, and yeah, I'm super happy with the comments, and we already have a few subscribers in our YouTube channel, so that's good. So let's start with today's episode.
Knit nights. So what are knit nights?
What are knit nights, Nat?
Knit nights, or as we said last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, we can't say last week.
Last episode.
Last episode. Sip and stitch, bitch and stitch,
oh my gosh,
or whatever they're called.
That was
There's various names for them. I guess too, depending on where you live, people call them different ways.
I guess
we call them knit nights.
We call it knit nights.
What are they? They're basically a gathering of knitters and or crocheters and or other fiber artists of any kind. Sorry, my phone. That get together and craft together, essentially.
The next point, who can participate? Well, you just said it.
Anyone,
yeah.
Anyone, really. I think it's really intimidating when you start.
Yeah.
Like, both when you're trying to host a knit night, having people come over, and also when you want to join a knit night of people like that are already together and meet up regularly, because you have to kind of integrate a group.
Yeah, but that's always intimidating.
Yeah, in any circumstance.
Yeah,
but I feel like generally speaking, knitters or crocheters are very friendly people.
Oh yeah, we're the best.
And the good thing about integrating a group in a knit night is that you have a subject to talk about.
Oh,
you can talk about yarn, you can talk about your projects, you can talk about so many different things.
Anything yarn related.
Yeah.
Oops, my phone turned off. Okay, so the next point is, where are they held?
Anywhere. We've had knit nights in coffee shops.
Yes.
We've had knit nights, and this is probably where we should tell the story of getting kicked out of the coffee shop.
But I was thinking about it, and we didn't get kicked out.
Well, we didn't really get kicked out. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay.
It was the weirdest thing, because we started gathering, and I don't know if before me it was somewhere else, but when I joined the group, it was at this local coffee shop that is not like a chain.
It's not a chain.
Yeah, it's like a single owner, small business, little coffee shop. They have like the greatest freaking sandwiches.
Oh my God.
The greatest cakes. All kinds of drinks.
That was one of the things that made me look forward to a Monday.
Oh,
not just knit night, but like, I'm having supper there. I'm eating their food.
And the cakes. And like, it was an excuse to have like a nice big piece of cake. And I come straight for work. So a lot of the times when we've met other places, I just don't eat dinner because I don't have time, or I like eat a banana on the way. But like there was food, it was great. And so we just hogged some seats in one corner, and knitters aren't really loud. We just chat.
Oh yeah.
Like, we're coffee shop volume. We don't do anything
we don't
extravagant.
Yeah.
If anything, people are quite interested in what we're doing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The amount of little older ladies that we had stop by and be like, oh my God, this is so nice. What are you working on?
No, and always saying like, oh my gosh, like younger people.
You guys are so young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so we were at this coffee shop and we thought, hey, like, bunch of small businesses, we're all knitters, like, this is great, let's support the small local business and let's go there. And we would all at least get a drink. Most of us ate either a cake or a sandwich.
Monday, it was at least 5 of us,
5 to sometimes like 15. Like, there was nights where there was a lot of us, and so we filled a good portion, but like never more than, like, I would say a third of the place. So, like, there was still enough room for anybody else that wanted to come in or anything. And we'd always take, like, the back corners. It's not like we were in the middle either.
But the thing is that we were always drinking and eating something.
Yes, we were buying something.
We weren't just sitting there using the space. Yeah. We were always eating, always drinking. Some girls will have, like, more than one drink.
Yeah. And it's not like they were cheap drinks either.
And it's not like the place was full either.
No, it was generally pretty empty. Like, people came and went, but there was us. And then maybe 1 or 2 other people working on their laptops or something, but it was mainly us.
And it's not like we were using this space and people didn't have anywhere to sit.
No.
Like, that's not the case. Let's just clarify that.
Yeah. And then the weirdest thing that happened is that the staff seemed to be annoyed with us.
Yeah. Or at least that's the perception we got.
Yeah, maybe they weren't, but that's the perception that we got. We felt like we were intruding, even though we really tried not to. Like, we made sure that all of us were buying something. We made sure that we were in a corner and, you know, leaving enough room, and we weren't taking up the prime space. And, like, I felt like we were being pretty respectful.
Yeah, same.
But it kind of started over time, and this wasn't initially either. It took a little bit. It's like at the beginning they were excited about us going, and then over time...
I think they even asked, like, are you guys coming, like, every Monday or whatever? Yeah.
And then over time, we kind of got... I think some of the staff changed too, and that played a role.
We got a weird vibe.
Yeah, it was like we were intruding. Like, they were almost rude, maybe not rude, but short with us.
We didn't feel welcomed anymore.
No. And it was odd because, again, small business, local, we're encouraging them, and this is the feel we got. So one day we decided to turn around and go to a chain.
But the thing, okay, so how it started is that we would go and we will always meet at 6.
Yes.
And we would leave at 10 because that's when the place would close.
And that's what started annoying them.
That's what it started, because we would leave right at 10. So when they closed, then, you know, that was our sign and we're leaving. So they started, like, after, I don't know how long after, they started shutting the music off earlier.
Yeah, and coming to warn us at like 9 and 9:15 and 9:30 we close at 10. We close at 10.
And we knew that.
And it's like, we know we're always out by 10. Like, we don't ever stay later. But I think they started getting annoyed because then they couldn't do their cleaning that they would have done if we had left. Because obviously by the time it got to 9 o'clock, we were pretty much done our drinks and done our food, which we would put away our plates and everything so that they could at least get that out of the way. But yeah, I think maybe that's what kind of started it. They got annoyed that like they had to wait till the very last minute to clean that section.
But then we were thinking, like, why would you say that you close at 10 when you would much rather close at 9, so then you have that hour to clean and get the place done, and you know, so we would leave whenever, if there's a sign there that said we close at 10, well, I assume that I can be in here until 9:59.
Exactly. And if anything, because we were there every week too, I feel like they could have, you know, maybe talked to us and be like, you guys are a big group, it takes up a lot of space. Like, could you perhaps leave, you know, maybe 15 minutes before so we have time to do our cleanup or something?
And we would have done it. 100%.
We would have done it happily. Yeah. But yeah, it was just it was like underhanded. Like
Yeah.
it was like the feeling that we got, but there wasn't anything concrete to make us feel like, but we
Yeah.
just all felt awkward and all felt like we were intruding. And I think to the one day that we ended up switching location, we showed up and there was an event that day, and all the tables were empty. There was no one there,
But they
but
had
there was
signs.
reserved signs, and
Yeah.
they told us they're reserved. You can't sit here. Like, and we're like, okay, like, and we also, like, Mandy had contact with
Well,
the owner
that's-
through Instagram.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
So we were kind of like, okay, like, you would think, we've been going there for over a year, because I remember we celebrated our 1 year at Midnight there. Well, not me, because I wasn't there from the very beginning, but the girls, when it had been 1 year, we celebrated. We got a fondue, and we, like, did this
Yeah.
whole thing, which we bought from them, like, from the cafe. And yeah, so they knew who we were. They had contact with us through Instagram.
that's the thing. They had a way to contact us to tell us, we know you guys come every single Monday. This Monday it's gonna be booked because we have another event going on or whatever. Like, it's not gonna be available for you guys.
Yeah.
So then we showed up. I think it was me and somebody else. Was it you?
I was there, yeah.
One of the first one. We got there and there were all these little signs, and we're like, okay, like, I guess we're not having it night in here tonight.
Yeah, and I think that day too, there was like 10 of us. There was quite a few of us
Yeah.
coming, and we all kind of stood in the parking lot. And we're like, okay, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And then we turned around and kind of Googled what was close and went to a chain.
And we
And-
stuck to the chain.
Yeah, because weirdly, and like, I hope this doesn't happen to everyone, because I hope like people can support small businesses and
Yeah.
little cafe shops and build that relationship. But we went to the chain, and I'll just say the name, it's a Second Cup, and they have the frozen yogurt, the like pink cherry or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time we were there, they were so excited to see us. It was two girls working, and they're like, oh, like, you guys are knitting together. This is so cool. Like, we haven't had this before. And like,
I remember that.
Yeah, and they were so excited. They asked us what we were working on. They were like, we hope you guys are going to come back. This is so fun. Like,
Yeah.
we'd love to see you here every Monday. And
They
they're
were
like,
so welcoming.
welcoming. Yeah. And they brought us free frozen yogurt. They're like,
Yes.
I want you guys to try it. If you like
Yeah.
it, you can have some. So we had some. Like, it was just everything you would have expected from the small business.
That's the thing. We would have expected that from the small business and not from the chain.
Yeah.
And yet we got the opposite.
It was the opposite. It was the weirdest thing. But all that to say that you can, and then, yeah, so we had knit night at the cafe,
Yeah.
and then at the Second Cup. We've had it at Starbucks too a few times. There was a couple times where we kind of had to move for some reason. I forget why.
The problem with the Starbucks is that it closes earlier. That, and the other reason is the ones in this area, they are small.
Yes.
So we didn't have like this space to get all of us together.
No, and we couldn't guarantee that there was going to be enough space, because there's tend to be more people
At
working
Starbucks, yeah.
on their computers and stuff than on other smaller like cafes and stuff.
Yeah.
But we did Starbucks, we did Second Cup, we did
The small business.
small business cafes, and then post-pandemic we've done people's backyards.
Yes.
We've also done people's houses. Katrina hosted us for Christmas knit nights a
Yeah.
couple times. So that was fun. We all brought like baked goods, and
Oh yeah, we did a potluck.
We did a potluck,
It
and
was so fun.
yeah, Katrina had like dyed skeins of yarn that she gifted us.
Yes, I still
and-
have it.
Yeah, I had that little drawing of us, the
My
sip
God.
and stitch that's behind you.
I love it.
So we had little presents and for each other, and we did that.
I think I go to Chile, came back, and I gave you guys the little llamas.
Yes, the
and
Lala
stuff.
Llamas, yes. So we've done people's backyards, we've done cafe shops, we've done like big chains, like little handmade, or not handmade, but small businesses. We've done our houses
Yeah.
too. We've done like Mandy hosted at our house, Alicia hosted, Katrina,
I
you.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
My backyard inside.
Yeah. So really,
Like, you can do it anywhere, pretty much. Anywhere that you know there's going to be, like, a good amount of time for you to be there. And also,
because you don't want to just get there and have an hour or two. Like, when we tend to sit down, and that's one thing too, you'll realize when if you go to it at night, we're there normally from like 6 to 10 is about our range. Sometimes 5, sometimes 9. Kind of depends.
Yeah.
Some of us leave a little bit earlier, get there
Well,
a little bit
that's
later.
the thing. You have to expect that people, it's not going to come exactly at 6. They're going to come a little bit later. Some of us have kids that we have to put to bed, and then, or some
Finish work at different times.
Exactly. Or some of them have to leave earlier, or, you know, you can leave exactly at 10. So it depends. So it's good to have a range, like a window of time that you know that you're gonna be there for, you know, like a good 4 or 5 hours, so then people can come and go as they want.
That, and because I think we all realize too that when we get to knit night, we're all so excited to see each other.
Oh my
that
God.
We spend the first hour talking, like we don't even pull our yarn out.
Yeah.
We order our drinks and our food, and then we just talk and
catch up.
And catch up, and like, how are you, and what happened, and what about this? Because
Yeah.
like this is the thing too, because and like. You can have knit night once a month. You can have knit night once a week. You can have knit nights once every season.
Twice
like,
a week if you want.
Whatever you want. Really, the frequency depends on you and who's going. What we found works best, obviously, is every week because it's booked in everyone's calendar. We just know. And if you can't come that Monday, you don't come.
Yeah. And also, for us, worked that it was good to have a set day and a set time. And no matter what, we weren't like, oh, can you guys meet on Wednesday? Oh, no, we can. Oh, can you meet on Friday? No, we had a day, and whoever could come would come.
Yeah.
And no matter what, we knew that at least somebody was going to be there that Monday. It's
Yeah.
not like we were trying to, like, figure out a date and a time. It was just set.
Because that would have been really complicated to try
Yeah.
to like mesh everyone's schedule, and I don't think we would have ever met.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we picked a date, and I mean, we didn't. Katrina, Mandy, and Alicia picked a date.
Yeah.
But it was every Monday, and it was every Monday. Like anyone who joined from then on knew on Mondays we met, and we knew where we met, and if it changed. So we also have an Instagram group, so that's also something that's very practical.
That worked.
In case you need to reach each other, because it did happen, I think maybe once or twice in like the 2 years prior to the pandemic, where like no one could go. Like a couple of weeks where just like, you know, back to school, like, you know, everyone was too busy. Like Christmas time is a bit harder, summertime with vacation. So there's a couple, I think only like maybe 2 days where no one could come. So we would just kind of write in the group like knit night tonight, ladies, like just kind of as a reminder to everyone. And then people would kind of be like, can't wait to see you guys, or like, I can't come tonight, but like have fun. And so we kind of have an idea of who was going as well, which was practical because then you could kind of know like, are we going to be 2 tonight? Are we going to be 10 tonight? Like,
well, and also it was great because the day that we couldn't go to that cafe, we used the group to tell everybody, okay, so it's closed. We can go here, but we're going to be at this other location. So then everybody knew ahead of time, like, oh, okay, so we're not meeting at that cafe, we're going to this other one. And we were kind of going like back and forth, like, oh no, this place is closed, we're gonna go to this other one, or no, this one closes at 8, we're gonna find another, because I think there was one second cup that closed at 8, and we were like, okay, no, never mind.
We had to switch a couple of times, like, we tossed a bunch of ideas that night and kind of had to play. And I think we went to a Starbucks too, and they didn't have any room or something.
Yeah,
we changed a couple of times, so that was really practical.
Yeah,
and we have to know too, in the Instagram group that we had created, and we did it on Instagram because that's kind of through Instagram that we kind of found each other and found out about Knit Night.
And I think it's also the platform where we're more active.
Yes,
all of us.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like it's not just for, so I would say that there's core members, like there's a group of us that always kind of went every single Monday, and then there's like an outer layer of people that also came, but they didn't come as frequently. Like they came here and there when they could, or like maybe once a month. Like once a week was too much for them, which is fine. You don't have to go every single week. But the core group of us kind of really enjoyed that weekly thing. And so like the Instagram group just had everyone in it. Like,
Yep.
if you want to be added to the group and know what's happening, then be added to the group. Like, there was no, like, kind of limit. There was no, like, oh, well, if you come every Monday, we'll add you to the group. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, you're interested in Knit Night? Perfect. We'll add you to the group. You decide. And we've had, I think, people leave the group that were like, I don't have time for this anymore. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just going to get out of the group.
And
We
no
had-
hard feelings either. Like,
No, it's fine. Like,
Zero.
it's a commitment.
well, yeah.
But once you start, it's kind of an addiction. You can't
Oh,
stop.
yeah.
Look at us. Like, the two of us will have Knit Nights together.
Yeah.
When everybody else is busy.
Our Knit Night.
A,
Yeah.
because we're friends and we want to hang out. But B, because it's a good excuse too.
Yeah.
But just because, like, we miss it. And the funny thing is, as much as, like we said earlier, like, the first hour we spend not
It's just
knitting,
catching up.
and, like, this is where you form friends. And, like, the
Yeah.
amount of times that we were like, wow, like, this is weird, we know more about each other's life than, like, we do about our best friends.
Oh yeah, it's like we see each other more often than we see our friends.
Yeah,
like,
because you don't see your friends every
yeah.
single week. And then you know all the little, like, daily stuff, all the, like, so that was interesting. And weirdly, even though we spent the first hour or two just talking, we all came out and said, like, we're so much more productive at Knit Night.
Yes.
Because once one person started bringing out a project, then everybody kind of, oh yeah, shit, we're here to knit.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone would pull out their projects. And then you talk about your project, you troubleshoot,
Well,
you get
that's-
help.
That's the thing about Knit Night too, is that for some of us, this is our business. For some others, it's just a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
But we can always find help. There's always somebody that knows more than other, and you can ask any questions, and everybody's super, like, willing to help and to tell you what you're doing wrong, or, you know, whatever you need.
Give you advice.
Give you advice. So I feel like that's also a great place for somebody that's, like, new, because I think we had some people that didn't know
Yeah.
much, and we helped them, and I feel like that's also a good thing. You can go, and it's a group that, whether it's your job or it's just a hobby, these ladies know, and they're talking about something that you love. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like we're speaking the same language.
But even, like, I would even say, like, you have your business, you're big, you know, your YouTube channel is massive, you have a big following, like, you do so many things. When I joined the group, like, and I kind of still hesitate to say I have a business, like, I did it as a hobby, I did it for fun. I only recently, like, last year, started selling my one pattern, and, like, I'm eventually going to add more to that, and I've this year only started doing markets, and, like, I wasn't there as a business, I was there for pleasure. You're
Yeah.
there in a business, but there's things that I was able to answer questions for you.
Oh, for sure.
And there's things that you were able to give me advice on, and other people in the group too. So it doesn't matter if you're, like, a straight up beginner, or if you've been doing this for 20 years and it's your full-time job and that's where your income comes from. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, when we talk about, like, hey, like, I'm looking for, you know, this kind of yarn to do this project, like, anyone can point you in the right direction. Anyone can give you this random, like, little local yarn store that might have something for you. Like, and we've discovered, like, local yarn store from talking to each other. We've discovered new yarns. Like, if a new yarn comes out and you bought it and you bring it to Knit Night, we're all, like, touching the yarn and touching your project and, like, I want to feel it. Oh my god, like. So, like, you discover new yarns, you discover new stitches, you discover new techniques, you discover even people. Like, the amount of times that we've been, oh no, this girl that I follow, and, like, this is her hashtag, and then we're all on our phones Googling and looking at who it is. And oh yeah, her. Like,
or talking about other people's patterns.
Yes, exactly. Like, I've followed so many people from our Knit Night because you guys are talking about this pattern. I'm like, who is this girl? Like, I don't know this girl.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is her handle. And I go and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this.
like
and then I
it.
follow her. And, like, it's this circle that goes so far beyond, and even life. Like, we've given each other life advice. Like, Mandy is, I'm going to say psychologist, but it's not psychologist, psychotherapist.
A therapist, yeah.
And, like, she won't talk to us about her customers directly, but she'll talk to us about, you know, different situations, and we'll kind of ask her questions. And, like, we've given each other life advice. We talk about everything and anything. And it's just, like, this super supportive group. Like, when I came to Knit Night, I brought my, like, not at the very beginning, but I ended up bringing my temperature blanket.
Oh, yes.
And I would have never finished my temperature blanket had it not been for like you Knit Night ladies pushing me.
Oh, we were pushing you.
Like you guys banned me for bringing any other project to Knit Night. I had to bring that one until I was done, and without that I would have never finished it. Like I had shelved it, and it had been months, and I wasn't touching it, and it kind of blew up, and like now it's this thing, this temperature blanket, and like I've never been so proud of a project in my life, and like I would not have finished it had it not been for you guys pushing me to finish it.
I think that's another topic that we can add to our list.
Ooh,
temperature
blanket. I like that. That's
me
a good
too.
one.
And that will be like, we have in here the queen of the temperature blanket. Believe it
I
or
don't know
not,
that I can say that.
I think you can, because one of the biggest one on Instagram got the idea from you girls, so you are the queen.
Okay, fine.
So that's another thing that I was gonna say about Knit Night, is that because it's weird whenever you say it out loud, but I consider myself a designer.
You are.
Design patterns and stuff like that.
You are definitely a designer.
I often would bring my ideas to Knit Night, and I would ask the girls and all of you guys if you have seen it somewhere. Like, I have an idea of this pattern. I want to make a hat with certain stitch. And you guys would be like, I think I've seen it before. So then, like, that goes that idea, because obviously you're trying not to copy other designers or other patterns that are out there already. So that's something that I would be so happy. It's just to go there and tell you guys my ideas and, hear from you guys, like, oh no, I've never seen that. Like, go ahead, do it. Or I remember Katrina saying like, oh no, like that looks like something that somebody else did. And I would go and try to see, like, oh, is it actually what it's in my head?
And we would even, I remember this. I remember you bring this up, and I remember when Katrina was like, no, it kind of looks like that one. And we would like, okay, describe us your idea. And then we would look and compare and be like, do we feel like this is close enough to be like, no, you can't do it? And we did tell you sometimes, like, oh no,
for sure.
I don't think you should do this pattern.
Yeah.
And then other times we were like, no, this is different enough.
Yeah.
And like, it's nice to know, because we can talk about that another time too, like how to know you're copying or not copying.
Oh yeah,
someone.
for sure. I think we already have that written down.
Quite possibly.
Probably.
Probably. But like, it's hard to know, because I mean, no one owns a stitch, no one owns a certain technique, but like, there's basic stitches that everyone's seen. A double brim hat, everyone's seen like a rib, one purl, one, like knit, one purl, one rib, one by one rib. Like, so there's certain things that are very basics that are obviously common and that are going to come back. And like, drawing the line of like, where can I make this a pattern and make money off of it, and where should I not, because it's either too simple or like it's been done so many times. Like it, or anything else really in that matter, is a great way to get instant feedback from people that are in that sphere, no matter if they're like, it's their full-time business or they're just doing it as a hobby. It's a great way to have like a good pool of people like giving you feedback on anything.
Oh, 100%. I feel like that was the thing that I appreciated the most. It was having so many people that were doing the same thing that I'm so passionate about, and they're just as passionate about that hobby as you are, and we can just give so many advices and talk about so many different things that if I was to talk about that with my other friends, they would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you're trying to talk knitting terms to anyone that is not, and that's another podcast episode, we have an idea, like knitting terms, what they mean, because I mean, you try to talk about other people and like, I have to frog this project, and like, I pulled out of this big yarn barf out of my yarn ball, and like, people are looking at you and they're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So like, these people get you, they understand what you're talking about, and if someone in the group doesn't understand a certain term, you explain it, because I think frogging, you were like, what is frogging?
Oh yes,
for sure. At one point.
Yeah.
And so like, we explained to each other, and we're like, oh, okay, this makes sense, So it's just, like, as much as for you it was the feedback, for me it was the support.
Yeah.
Because I felt very, like, beginner in my skills. I felt very unsure. Like, and even, like, me publishing my pattern, like, I wouldn't have done it without you pushing me to do it.
Oh, my gosh. I was like, you are coming here. We're taking pictures. You are publishing your pattern no matter what. And what happened?
Yeah.
Look what happened. It blew up.
Great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, for me, the biggest thing that came out of Knit Night is support. For you,
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah.
Like, we can all kind of pull something different from it. But honestly, I don't think I could ever live without a knit night again.
I know, me
Like,
neither.
and I miss our knit night with
Yeah,
everyone.
me
Like,
too.
with a bigger group. I miss having, like, I mean, we still have our Mondays, you and me. But, like, I miss having, like, at the cafe, everyone meets up. And,
Yeah.
like, you never really know who's coming, but you know there's going to be people.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes, like, someone hasn't been in 2 months because they couldn't for whatever reason. And then they show up and it's like, oh, my God,
I
you're
know.
here. Like, it's just such a happy thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was any
It really
knit night
was.
where we were all, like, grumpy or anything. And, like, we met up, like, we left there, it was like 10 at night on a Monday. Like, sometimes we're tired and sometimes
Oh, yeah.
like we hadn't had the best weeks, or like it's a Monday, but like we were always so like happy to see each other and so like excited to talk about our project. And it's like no one else in your life can understand and connect to that
Yeah.
than other people who do it. So yeah, knit nights are great. Get a knit night.
Yeah, we have one more point
Yes.
to knit night, and that's how to find knit night
Or set one up.
or set one up.
Yeah. How to find one? I think Instagram would probably be the best way. Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah. So we mentioned in the last episode that you found knit night through Instagram.
Yes, through a hashtag. I had done like Ottawa Sip and Stitch or like 613, because that's a thing too on Instagram, the area code, 613 Sip and Stitch or something like that. And I came across Mandy's post. And it could be hard.
Yeah.
And not every knitter, like we don't broadcast our Sip and Stitch. Like there's some people that we follow on Instagram that will broadcast like, hey, it's, you know, whatever day, knit night,
Yes.
this place, come, and they broadcast it kind of to a wider audience. We don't really do that.
No.
Because we know most of our followers don't necessarily come, they're not necessarily from the area. But you found Knit Night because Katrina reached
Invited
out to
me,
you
yeah.
at a market, and a bunch of us have done that. A bunch of us have like found people and we're like, oh, you knit too? Well, you should come to Knit Night.
Yeah.
And so our circle kind of grew that way too. So like talking about it with people, going up to markets and asking, you know, vendors that knit, like, hey, do you go to a knit night? Is there one in the area that you know of? Like, it's a great way. Anyone that you know in the community in your area, you can ask them.
Yeah.
Instagram or Facebook group searching.
I feel
knit
like
nights.
nowadays Instagram will be the best way to go, because I feel like Facebook would be more for like older people.
Yeah, quite possibly. Like
Yeah.
for our age group, yes, probably.
Yeah.
And how to start one.
That's a hard one.
Again, I think you have to kind of not expect anything, because it's going to take a
Yeah.
bit to find a group that comes consistently. Even when
Yes.
I joined, like most of the time we were 3 or 4 people. Like it took a bit, and like we've had times where there was 30 of us, but most of the time there was this core group of like 5 or 6 of us girls
Yeah.
that would meet up, and that's fine. Like you can't expect to have 30 people, and honestly we kind of like them better
Oh,
when they're
yeah.
smaller, because
I
it's
was
easier.
gonna
You
say.
can all partake in the same conversation. We also found when it grew too big, then there's 3 or 4 different conversations.
When it was like a bigger group, then there were like 2 or 3 little groups within that big group.
Yes, just because it's impossible to like at 30
Yeah.
people to have one person talking to everybody else listening. Like it just wouldn't make sense and not be like flowing. So
Yeah.
it always broke out in a bunch of smaller groups of conversation, and sometimes you find yourself kind of in between 2 conversations. And like it was fine too. It's a different experience, but like I think you have to give yourself time to find that core group of people that comes all the time that and end up being your friends in the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, the best way is like announce it on Instagram, announce it on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Even if you don't have that many followers, there's always somebody that's going to follow you that's from the area.
Yeah.
Or use the hashtags of the city where you live or the area where you live.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably live.
Live.
Yes. There's probably somebody that's gonna be around there that's gonna be like, hey, you know, like,
Yeah.
I would love to join. Or
And I feel like yarn store, local yarn store, like smaller yarn store, not like, you know, the bigger brands,
Yeah.
but smaller yarn stores often they try to create their own knit nights too.
Yeah.
So that can be a way to meet people.
Or you can also ask them to put like a little sign if they have a board or
Yes,
something.
exactly. Or talk about it when they see, you know, other maybe younger knitters or other people in your knit group, in your age group, that, you know, there's this thing coming up. Like, it's, in the day and age that we are with social media, it's so easy to like put out information.
For sure.
It's going to take some time, obviously, for it to build up and become a regular thing in that. But I think consistency is probably key. Like the fact that it was, we picked a day, we picked a place, and that's where it was. Like, obviously, over time, we had to change and stuff. But this was like after, you know, a year and a half, we ended up changing. It wasn't like every week we changed, because it's hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
And I think the mindlessness of it, like, you didn't have to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
You knew on Monday that's where you were going. And if you were busy, you were busy. You weren't going. And you'd go back to next Monday, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that I forgot what I was gonna say. Love that, mom brain.
This is how you're gonna do every episode.
Oh yeah, like so. Well, I forgot what I was gonna say.
We were talking about consistency. We were talking about.
I think it's gone.
Okay, it's gone. It's fine.
We're good. We're good.
But basically, knit night. To recap all of this, knit night is great. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be anywhere fancy. And if you're planning to start a knit night, I would also probably recommend doing it somewhere public where it's easy for people to see you.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's that.
You got my point back. I was gonna tell you. Okay, so because I don't know if you guys don't know by my accent. Okay, I'm Spanish. I also have a Spanish account. Which is called Danny's Ways, and all my Spanish following, whatever. There's one girl that is from the Spanish community that she used to host their kind of knit nights. Okay. She's from Spain at IKEA.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
At IKEA, they had...
Why not?
They
have a little, like, cafe. They have... Yeah, that works.
And they close at what? I don't even know what time they close at, but, like... Who would care? Who would kick you out of IKEA? Nobody.
No one. And honestly, like, most people that we come across are kind of amazed that we're doing this. Like, no one, the reaction is not like, ew, look at this group of knitters in the corner. It's like, wow, you guys are so young and you're knitting. What are you working on? Oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reaction that we get from most people. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Ideally, it would be somewhere closer to where everybody lives.
Yeah, but if you haven't... Yes. I mean... I'm the exception to this rule because I drive an hour each way to come to midnight.
When I lived an hour away too, I also drove.
Yeah, you did.
Fully pregnant with my first.
Yes.
But I'm like, I'm not
Once
missing.
You commit, you commit.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that's what I would say as an advice though. If you're trying to start a knit night, try to do it somewhere public, somewhere where people can easily join, because it takes away the awkwardness of I have to go to someone's house I don't really know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you do it in a space too, we always try to do somewhere where there's refreshments, like where a cafe or like IKEA is great because they have a little bistro. Like that could be a great idea. Some yarn store also have rooms where they have it and they have little coffee machines and stuff too. So that could also be a great option. But like somewhere where you can, you know, buy a little snack or get a little drink, because if you're sitting there for 4 or 5 hours and you're talking, you get thirsty and maybe hungry.
Well, yes, and especially at that time at night, if it's supper time.
Yeah, and it's also a lot less awkward to join in, and like you can just kind of also, I haven't done this, but I can imagine some people might want to like, I'll go, but I'm not going to join the group, and I'm going to kind of watch what happens and maybe build up the courage to go, you know? Like, you can kind of see what it looks like. It gives that opportunity to people, too.
Yes.
But, yeah, find a place that's consistent, that's public, that obviously, if you can, if it's a smaller place, perhaps ask permission so you don't have this awkward feeling.
Yep.
That can also be a great way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But honestly, like, knit night is amazing.
Yeah,
we miss it. We miss it. We miss our friends.
Oh yeah. We have to try to.
Maybe we should try to like do a Christmas knit night.
Yeah, we should try to get it back. Like after the pandemic,
the thing is the cafes aren't open late enough. But maybe if we talk to them.
Yeah, that could be a good idea. Or even we could do it at somebody's house.
Yeah.
You know, because we already know our knit night group.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're trying to build one from scratch.
And that's one thing too. When we started doing it at people's house, that's worthy to note. We wouldn't necessarily invite, like, because I think Instagram caps group at 30 people, so our knitting group has 30 people in it. At one point we broke off into like an East End group and a West End group, but we have like 30 people in our group, and understandably not everyone wants to invite 30 people in their house. So we kind of broke off in a smaller group and kind of kept the core of people that come every single week or almost, and kind of invited that group, so it was a lot more manageable. It's like 6 or 7 girls, and like,
well, especially because it was right in the pandemic.
That too, and we had to distance, and we still had some rules to follow and stuff. But we kind of broke off and made it a smaller group, and that's just easier. Like, if you're trying to, invite people to your house or your backyard, it's a lot easier if it's a smaller group. It's a lot more manageable.
Well, yeah, and that would also make the host want to host it, because like you said, not everybody wants to have like 20 people in their house. Especially if you're trying to do something more small, more
intimate.
What's the word? Yeah, more intimate. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I feel like that's a good idea too. But yeah, all that to say, we miss our knit nights.
Knit nights are great. If you can find one in your area, if you can connect with anyone in the community and create one, do it. Like,
for sure,
do it. I think I can even say,
you're not gonna regret it.
It's life-changing. Like, really, it brought so much to my life. I can say it's life-changing.
It brought me friends.
Yes.
Like, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I did not have friends before knit night.
Yeah.
Like, now I have you, I have the girls. Like, we can talk to everybody. We cannot see for so long, but then we gather again, and it's like nothing happened.
Yeah.
So
we catch up and keep going.
Exactly. Like, that's just what knit night will bring to your life. Like I said, it's friends, community, and people that you can
support. Encouragement. It's get a knit night.
Get a knit night. Well, so I think that's all for today's episode. What do you think?
I think so. I think we're busted our timeline here.
Well, we are still in the 45-minute mark, so we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. What else do you wanna?
We'll be back next week. This time.
We'll be back next week for sure, with another interesting topic. And if you are listening on YouTube, please leave us comments. Everything, feedback, whatever you want to hear. If you have subjects, ideas, or whatever, you can leave the comments there. And if you're listening in Spotify or Apple Podcast, please leave us the 5-star reviews, so then the platforms can jump up our podcast, and more crocheters or knitters can listen to it.
Yes. And have a good week.
Have a good week, everyone.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.